What's going on, folks? Ted from Immersion here, and we're continuing on with our coverage of all of the new and recent D&D content that's released. This time, we're jumping over to Netheril's Fall. This is the second of the series of adventures or modules, source books, whatever you want to call it, that were released to go alongside the Forgotten Realms books launching. Right, the first one was Astarion's Book of Hungers, the next one was Netheril's Fall, and the third one was Lorwyn First Light. So we're bouncing all around trying to cover everything, but trying to keep it fresh as we jump around. So this time we're going to be talking about the new magic items introduced in Netheril's Fall. So there's not a ton here, but essentially, if you're unfamiliar, Netheril, it was an ancient realm or sort of empire, I guess, in the world of Faerun. And then through a very series of unfortunate events, it fell, which is why this is called Netheril's Fall. It was a lot of floating cities and things of that nature. And essentially, we are now just seeing in the Forgotten Realms remnants of relics and things that have happened there. So we do have I don't know, maybe a little less than 10 magic items that were introduced in this book. I believe they had referred to them, at least in the original sort of promo material, as magical items from before the fall or before the cataclysm or something along those lines. There is also a bestiary that we'll be doing in a separate video. There's not a ton there, but there's the Faerun, which is stuff that people really enjoy as far as monsters go. So more to come on this, as well as finishing up all of the other content that's out there, just hopefully in time to get all of this done by the end of this year. So that way, whatever new content comes and hits us first thing in 2026, if there is anything, we just still don't know, we'll have like a clean slate to just jump into whatever's out there. So, all right. Anyway, if you like this kind of stuff and you like what I do here, consider subscribing to the channel. Here we are on D&D Beyond. As you can see, we're going to Netheril's Fall, and we're just going to scroll down and jump right here to the magic items. So, let's just dive in. First up here, we have an uncommon magic item here, non-attunement, called the Arcane Battery. And basically what this does is it allows you to restore charges to a magic item that you have that utilizes charges, right? So if you have a magic item that's just like, it works once until the next dawn, this doesn't do anything for you. And I mean, the name is apt. It is essentially a consumable battery. So while holding the battery, you can take a magic action to touch it to one magic item. If that magic item normally regains charges daily, it immediately gains a d4 plus 1 expended charges, and the battery loses its magic. So you're essentially using it to just charge up whatever your magic item is, give it a little bit more juice and power so that it can, do whatever it does more. And I am curious, do you guys, if you're not using a virtual tabletop, or even if you are, do you guys do a lot with charges? I feel like what I see more often than not, and maybe I'm in the minority here, is obviously if it's one of these things where it's like, oh, if you use the last charge, that has the chance to destroy the item if you roll a natural one, blah, 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 right? That's a whole thing. But what I see a lot of the times is people will not ever use the last charge. If it has, say, 7 charges, they'll use 6 out of the 7 and then just wait until it recharges the next day. But I don't feel like I've ever seen people actually do like the roll for charges to restore to see like, oh, you know what, today I don't have all 7 charges. I only have 5 or whatever. I'm just curious though. I know obviously if you use certain virtual tabletops, like when you take a long rest and you have that magic item equipped, it'll just auto roll for your charges, how many charges you get back. So like that obviously makes the upkeep a little bit easier and makes a little, when you just go in and look and say, oh, okay, I only have 5 charges today. Now you know. But I'm curious how you guys handle that. We have the Brooch of the Elements. This is a rare attunement magic item. It has 3 charges and gets them all back daily at dawn. As a reaction, when a creature you can see within 60 feet of you hits a target with an attack roll and deals damage, you can expend a charge to change the damage type the attack does to acid, cold, fire, lightning, poison, or thunder. Again, it hits with an attack roll and deals damage. So this could, hitting a paladin, hitting with an attack roll and dealing damage with smite on top of that, technically triggers this. A rogue sneak attack. So this is an opportunity if something is resistant to the normal weapon damage of, say, bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing, to turn it all into something else that maybe is less resisted, or in maybe the best scenario, something that might be vulnerable to one of these elemental damage types. This is not my priority. I feel like if I'm flush with magic items and like I'm waiting and I'm balancing my attunement, this probably wouldn't be one of my primary choices. But if I'm in a situation where maybe I have an extra attunement slot or something like that, this is not a bad thing to happen. The only downside is it doesn't seem like it works on you. As a reaction, when a creature you can see within 60 feet of you hits a target with an attack roll and deals damage. Well, actually, I guess in theory, right, you are in fact a creature you can see within 60 feet of yourself. I think the way it's interpreted based on that is it's not supposed to apply to you, but I don't see anything saying it can't. But then again, a lot of those times it would say you could, like, this could include you, and it doesn't. So, all right, we have the Fork of Eddy Summoning. This tiny tuning fork crackles with harmless multicolored magical energy. As a magic action, you can tap the fork against an object to summon an Eldritch Eddy, which we'll talk about again. We have a little stat block here for it. We'll talk about that more in the monster section, but the eddy appears in an unoccupied space as close to you as possible. The eddy is friendly to you and your allies. It obeys your commands. If you fail to command it, it defends itself, but takes no other actions. It takes its turn immediately after yours on the initiative count. It disappears after 1 hour. It dies, or when you dismiss it as a bonus action. The four can't be used again this way until the next dawn. I mean, this is effectively just another piece of the party. You're basically allowed to just, tap the tuning fork and then essentially get a summon that will stay with you for an hour. And then again, the Eldritch Eddy has, I'm not sure, it does have a decent chunk of HP and a lot of immunities, so might be good to soak up some damage for you, or maybe even deal some damage. No, you know what? What the hell? Let's just go ahead and look at the stat block now. I feel like it probably just makes the most sense to do that. So, sizable HP pool. Multi-attack can do Searing Swipe, which does 3d6 plus 3 fire or lightning. Arcane Bolt out to a range. 2d10 plus 3 force. And as a reaction to it taking damage, it can force each creature of its choice within 5 feet to make a strength saving throw or take force damage and become prone. So honestly, yeah, this is a great choice. If you can get one of these eddy summoning forks, it's worth having it in your pocket just to add another body, essentially, to take some damage for you or to even deal a little bit extra damage. We have the Hat of Vortexes, an uncommon attunement magic item, has 3 charges that it gets back daily at dawn. You can use a magic action and expend 1 charge while holding the hat to release a magical vortex from it. It fills a 10-foot cube originating from you and lasts for an hour. While present, it's difficult terrain, and you decide what the vortex looks like. We have the Magen handbell. I think that's how you pronounce it. Magen. While holding this brass handbell, you can take a magic action to ring it and summon a Terran Magen. Magen appears in a non-occupied space within 30 feet to understand your languages, obeys your commands. It takes its turn immediately after yours. Disappears after an hour until you dismiss it. Once used, it can't be used again for a d6 days. Whenever it's summoned by this item and it starts its turn bloody to roll a d6, on a 6, it goes berserk. While berserk, it no longer obeys your command. You can't dismiss it as a bonus action. On each of its turn, the berserk Magen attacks the nearest creature to it. If no creature is near it, it will move to attack and then attack an object. To move to an attack, it'll attack an object. It remains berserk until it disappears or until a creature holding the handbell takes an influence action, makes a charisma persuasion check to try to regain control of it. And if we were to go ahead and just pop it up here and take a look at the stat block. Okay, I mean, it's chunky, big AC, big HP here. 2 attacks using Hammer Fist, which is 3d8 plus 3 bludgeoning plus 3d8 force, which is not a small amount. And Thunderous Boom, which is basically a thunder fireball out to 60 feet. And it also has some spell casting here, Mage Hand, Mending, Prestidigitation, and 1 usage of Disintegrate, Move Earth, and Stone Shape. A very strong ally to potentially have in your back pocket if you happen to come across one of these handbells. Mask of Changed Appearance. This jewel mask has 3 charges. This is common, this magic item, and non-attunement. As a magic item, expend a charge and change your face's appearance. You can't make yourself look like a different person, but you can smooth or deepen your wrinkles, whiten your teeth, hide or accentuate bags under your eyes, or perform one minor cosmetic change. While your appearance is changed, the mask has the invisible condition. Lasts for an hour, gets back a D3 charges daily at dawn. If you expend the last one, roll a D20, and then the mask will explode in sweet-smelling powder. Again, it's a common magic item, and it's just kind of basically like, hey, this is a quick way to do makeup, make yourself look a little bit younger or more, ragged, depending on what you want to do with it. Again, for a common magic item, not bad. Speaking of common magic items, the next one on here is the Mythallar bracelet. As a magic action, you can pluck one bead from the bracelet to give yourself advantage on athletics check for a minute. A bead disappears after it's plucked, and once all 3 beads have been plucked, it loses its magic. Again, as a common magic item, something that's pretty readily accessible, just being able to 3 times be able to just pop off advantage on athletics checks for a minute. That could be very big depending on the situation you find yourself in, especially if you don't have access to someone like a barbarian or someone with advantage on athletics checks. And lastly, we have the Mythallar cloak. This is a rare magic item that requires attunement. Has 10 charges, gets a D10 back daily at dawn. While wearing it, you can take a bonus action and expend a charge to activate the cloak's magic. It lasts for a minute or until you end it early. While the cloak's magic is active, you have a fly speed of 30 feet and can hover. Additionally, once on each of your turns, when you hit a creature with an attack roll and deal damage, you can cause it to take an extra D4 radiant damage. If you are aloft when the cloak's magic ends, you fall. I don't really know who these magic items are for. They don't feel, some of them, like the summoning ones are very strong because of the summons that they bring. I mean, the arcane battery as a consumable is pretty solid. But yeah, I think out of all of the ones that I like the most, I think I got to toss it to the Brooch of Elements. Because the ability to swap the damage type to something that maybe the thing is either resistant to or non-resistant to, or maybe even vulnerable to. And again, you could just sit on this magic item in your back pocket, maybe never need to use it, but at some point it might be beneficial to turn the rogue's sneak attack damage into fire damage, let's say. I don't know. But that is it. That is it for all of the new magic items contained in Netheril's Fall. So let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Also, feel free to throw out which piece of content that we haven't covered so far that you'd like to see covered in the next video. That could be the monsters from this book, could be the monsters from Stranger Things, the monsters from Adventures in Faerun, could be more Astarian stuff, could be going back to Eberron to deal with more Artificer stuff. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts and opinions and again, your suggestions in the comments down below. I'll see you all next time.